All right, welcome back everybody to the On Track videocast. Today I have the lovely Lynne Goldberg. Lynne Goldberg has been named one of the top meditation teachers in North America. That's pretty big. She is co-founder of the app OMG, I Can Meditate, as well as, and I'm not sure if this is the same app and it's been renamed, but the app Breethe, which I am now familiar with. Lynne has helped hundreds of thousands of people learn to meditate and is passionate about helping people find peace of mind and purpose. Welcome, Lynne.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Yay. So is it the same app?
It is.
It is.
We,
Okay.
yeah, we really had, when we first launched, we really wanted people to have that sense of humor about meditation and not take it so seriously, because there was this resistance to oh, I can't meditate, it's too scary. And we wanted people to understand just how simple it really was. And that's really what the app is all about. And then what we recognized was that people wanted to also have a sense of comfort and know that we were experts at what we do. So hence the name.
I like it. I've been doing her app now for the last month because I knew that I would be interviewing her. So I thought I better just try this app out. And so I'm very familiar. I was just telling you, I'm very familiar with Lynne's voice inside my head right now. And it's lovely. I absolutely love it. So Lynne, now let's go back and when you first discovered meditation yourself, and whereabouts were you in your life when meditation came in? Because it hasn't always come naturally to you, has it?
No, in fact, I would say I was the opposite of a natural meditator. I was that real type A, stressed out, crazy person who really, my life was overwhelming. And I came to meditation really as by accident. So my mom had been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And when she was in the hospital, her doctor actually suggested that she try meditation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was pretty avant-garde because this was 20-something years ago. It wasn't recently. And he thought that it would just help her just cope with that sense of impermanence and the idea of dying, and also help relieve some of that stress of, what she was going through. And at the same time that she was going through all of her health issues, I was going through infertility treatments. And of course, there's nothing worse.
There's nothing worse, yeah.
Well, than going to the doctor and they would say, oh, if you just relax, you just have to relax. And of course, you can't relax. When you're steroids and all you're like, and people are telling you, you just have to just do it. So I was hopeful that maybe that would be something that I could teach myself a little bit. And I would go to all my treatments with my earphones. And at the time, it was before, this is 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
It was a tape. It was literally a tape.
With with the big earphones. Yeah.
And so I actually found it to be really, really helpful. And then I ended up getting pregnant, losing the twins, and in somewhere around my 3rd trimester. So it was really
that's terrible.
It was a terrible loss. And of course that, and then my mother passed away, and my marriage, which had been strained, I guess, past that breaking point, also fell apart. So no marriage. Oh, and then I lost my job. So no marriage.
Oh my goodness.
No marriage and no family to speak of, because I lost my husband, I lost the kids, and everything kind of disintegrated. And if you talk about stress, and the definition of stress is really when your expectation doesn't meet your outcome. I was in that very, very stressed period of time. And I really decided, okay, this was helping, but I didn't know too much about it. I needed to study more. And I ended up studying, finding, teachers, wonderful teachers who helped me, and finally becoming a teacher myself. And
wow. So even though you were in probably the depths of depression, I would have to say, there was some sort of thread there that you could hold on to and say, I need to meditate myself through this. I mean, I'm sure there was other things that you had to get to help.
Let me start by saying that no, I would wake up at 2:00 in the morning and my my heart would be pounding and I'd be having an anxiety attack. And, my drug of choice at the time was Chardonnay, and I would drink to go to bed, and then I would wake up in the middle of the night feeling really, really anxious. And so that wasn't working for me. And I was trying to find something that would, and the thing that always did was meditation. So I wouldn't say that, my first many times that I meditated, my mantra was really, how much longer, how much longer? It was not, this is great, I'm so blissed out, isn't this fun? It was, oh God, please don't make me do this. But over time, it really became something that was just life-changing for me.
Yeah. Did you keep doing it even though you were in that how much longer, how much longer? What made you keep doing it then? Because there had to have been you must have been getting some results out of it, even though it was hard for you to go into that space.
No. So I got no results whatsoever. And I have to say, thankfully, I was told, and this has stuck with me, and now I teach everybody that I teach the same thing. So I'm sharing this wonderful idea,
okay,
which is just do it. It's not that complicated. If you do it for 21 days, you will start to develop your neural pathways that, there's a lot of talk about neuroplasticity and the idea that the more we do something, neurons that fire together, wire together, that idea that when we repeat something over and over again, it gets easier. Well, that's what happened. So I just knew that I couldn't quit, and I knew I had to do this, and I did. And that's how I developed my practice.
Wow. And so when you look back on that time in your life, do you see now, of course, the purpose behind it, everything that happened? Because it's led you to where you are right now, helping so many women, so many people, not just women. I'm used to talking about just women, but that you've now helped hundreds of thousands of people learn this tool, and you wouldn't have got here.
We're up to 2 million people, actually.
Oh my God.
It's growing regularly. So yeah, I feel immensely grateful. And clearly, I feel very grateful that it wasn't so easy for me, because it was so challenging. I really had a sense of, okay, I really want to help people who might not feel that they can do this. And I felt very, very compelled to have this be as approachable and as simple as possible, because I know I got turned off. There's a lot of meditation speak that was intimidating for me when I first started. So I wanted to have this be accessible. And it obviously has resonated and helped people. So I'm extremely grateful.
I love that. I love to hear the stories of tragedy that turn out to change somebody's life completely in a positive way. Because I think when we're stuck in those times, which everybody is at some point in their life, maybe numerous times, to hear these kind of stories, you can think, okay, there's a reason why this is happening. I might not see it right now, but in the end, I'm going to see why this has happened to me. Yeah, it is. So let's talk about the art of meditation then, because I think you're right to say that it's so hard for so many people, especially in this day and age where we're running around all the time, that stress has become such a natural part of life that sitting still is very uncomfortable. And I know this from experience, and so do you. I've just been doing it for the last year, and I still have troubles going, okay, just turn off your brain, chill out for a second. So when somebody is just starting out, does it have to be for a long period of time? Do you have to sit quietly? Like, what is your experience with that? Like, what do you suggest that a new person to meditation should be doing first?
So let's talk about a little bit about the how-to, but I also want to address just what the actual benefits are.
Yes.
So sort of nebulous, because there really are concrete benefits. But let's start with how to. So but basically what we recommend is that you are building your attention muscle. And your attention muscle, like going to the gym, you wouldn't start off with 200-pound weights. So we really start our program with a 10-minute meditation, and we build you. So we start at 10 minutes, and then we add a minute, and over time, by the end of our program, we build you up to 20 to 30 minutes. And you could actually, still keep at 10 minutes, or you could increase it to 40, 50 an hour, but we help you develop that attention muscle. And really the idea behind it is, if you're not gonna do it because it's too long and it's too painful, then what's the point?
Right.
So we really wanted this to be easy, super, super, super easy. And we even have 5-minute meditations, and we even have meditations that are, on the go, 2-minute meditations for when you can't, because there's nothing worse than saying, okay, I'm really, really dedicated, I'm going to do this, and then feeling like, tomorrow it's just impossible. So we didn't want anyone to fail. We wanted everybody to be successful. And so we made it impossible to fail. We also built in an alarm. So, because one of the biggest things that people say is, I don't have time to meditate.
Yep.
So what we did was we built in an alarm so that your alarm actually wakes you up and goes right into the meditation.
Oh,
And
I love that.
Yeah, the idea behind that was, you can set your alarm for 5 minutes earlier, nothing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. And if someone's only meditating for a few minutes to 10 minutes a day, then let's talk about the benefits of even just that short amount of time. Do people see results? And I know from experience, I'm going to say, yes, they do. But what you're the expert working with so many people. Do people come back and say, you know what, even at 10 minutes a day, I actually feel a difference?
So there's actually science to support it, that there's physical brain changes that happen. So first of all, what happens typically for non-meditators, or for all of us as we're walking around, is stress is really our fight-flight response. It's really that thousands and thousands of years ago, when we were being chased by saber-toothed tigers in the savannah, there would be this idea of, if I don't get out of here alive, I'm lunch, right? So what happens so that you avoid being eaten is our body would go into a cascade of events. So we'd release adrenaline, we'd release cortisol, and this would happen automatically without us thinking about it, because you don't have time, if you're about to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, to start going through all the things that are going to happen. Then your heart rate would go up, your blood pressure would go up. You're not digesting food anytime soon, so
No.
You'd start to shunt blood out of your digestive tract and into your extremities, so that if you were going to actually get scratched by the saber-toothed tiger, your blood would clot. So Think about what all that means. It means you're not digesting food very well.
Yeah.
You're actually, your blood is getting thicker, your heart rate is up, your blood pressure is up. And you can think about modern diseases, chronic diseases that we all suffer from. And it's not surprising that a lot of them, 90% of all disease, actually comes from stress.
Yeah.
So what happens when we meditate is, it's actually the antidote to all of that. You are actually releasing feel-good hormones like oxytocin, which is the love hormone, serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. Your blood pressure normalizes, your heart rate normalizes, and you are digesting food better. Your immune system is strengthened. You're releasing DHEA. So all these wonderful growth hormones that help nurture and support your body are actually being released into your body, and you feel better. In addition to that, they've done studies on people by taking MRIs of their brain. So they did, after an 8 weeks period of meditation, and they took MRIs before and after. And what they found was that part of your brain that actually is responsible for that fight-flight reaction, which is the amygdala, actually shrunk.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
Yeah. So you're not getting triggered all the time.
Yeah. And working with women, specifically with weight loss, I see in my practice that the number one thing that causes weight loss resistance. So the inability for a woman to lose weight. So she's doing everything right. She's exercising, she's doing, she's eating really well, and yet she's not losing any weight. The number one cause of that across the board is always high amounts of cortisol in the body. And that's your stress hormone. That's exactly what you're talking about right now. And they don't even realize it. They wouldn't say, oh, I'm stressed out. They're going to say, well, yes, I work 9 to 5, 5 days a week. I've got 3 kids. I cook dinner every night. I take care of my household. I have a relationship. I do this, I do that. I run my kids around all day. But no, I'm not stressed. I'm just doing what everybody else is doing.
Right. So I actually, in my book, I wrote a book, Get Balanced, Get Blissed, and part of the book was about cortisol and what happens to your body when you're releasing it in terms of food. And there was a study that was done at Yale that actually said that increased cortisol increased belly fat.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew? And then obviously all that craving for all comfort foods, so you could be, doing everything. And then if you're sabotaged by cortisol in your blood system, in your body, and you're craving, macaroni and cheese, then it's really hard to stick to something without feeling like you're always depriving yourself. So balancing your hormones is really one of the first steps, and making sure that you're not in that spiking cortisol regularly is really helpful.
Yeah. And spiking cortisol will drive women to crave sugar and salt. So when people wonder why I talk about meditation when it comes to weight loss, it's like, actually, this is huge. This should almost come before diet. It should be lower your stress, get in tune with your body. Then the trying to eat well is going to get a lot easier, isn't it?
So there's a lot that happens with that. When we're in that feeling of being out of touch with ourselves, which so many of us are because we're just in the activity mode, then you're not really paying attention to what it is you're eating. So there was this amazing experiment done by Brian Wansink, where he gave people bags of popcorn, and the popcorn was deliberately left out and was stale. And they mindlessly ate the popcorn because it was in front of them. And then he did this other study where he basically gave people full plates of food, and the same thing. They just ate the portion that was in front of them without really paying attention to what their body was feeling. And when we're meditating, what we're really starting to cultivate is a sense of body awareness. You really, first of all, notice what you're doing. It's not mindless. You're very, very mindful. So you're not eating unconsciously, and you're not eating just because it's in front of you. You start to really pay attention to whether it's habit or hunger. And you start to really tune into how your body's actually feeling. It's a very, very valuable tool that helps tremendously with body awareness, with being in the present moment, specifically when it comes to eating. And not to mention how much more enjoyment you get from having a meal when you're actually savoring it as opposed to just gulping it down.
Yeah. And I would think that it just helps you to love yourself more, because you're getting in tune with something. Like, instead of looking at yourself in the mirror and you always have those negative thoughts and things that you say about yourself when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, or from just day to day, minute to minute. I know that women really struggle with that. And I think when you turn your brain off, or attempt to turn the brain off and those crazy thoughts and just tune into how you feel, it does help you to love yourself more, and instead of seeing yourself always in that negative light.
So I think in general, we're habituated culturally to look outside ourselves and see images like all those Instagram models, and on in all the magazines of what we should be like. And that concept of shoulding all over ourselves, of how we should be, is really what we practice in meditation, is actually tuning in to what is, and really beginning to honor what is, as opposed to needing it to be different. If I were 10 pounds better, lighter, thinner, then I would be happier. Well, that is something that we actually cultivate, and paying attention to, being in touch with what is. So that is a practice, and it's not something that happens just because we decide to change our thoughts that one day. It's something that over time is that I call it my automatic thought automatic thought machine. Those automatic thoughts that keep going, ATM, are you become aware of them, and you start to watch yourself talk. You start to watch your dialogue, and then you can actually step out and witness it. And once you notice, hey, I don't like how I'm talking to myself, I have other options here, we can start to tune in to what it is that helps us nurture ourselves.
Yeah. And what can somebody expect, not so much time-wise, but just with a steady practice of meditation? Because we've been talking about the fact that it can be challenging when you first start out. What's the light at the end of the tunnel, so that when people are just starting out, or they're just a little ways through it, can you tell me some of the steps that a person will likely go through? Like, you talk about, there's people that talk about reaching a higher consciousness, feeling like you're part of source rather than an individual. These kind of, it's all a little bit woo-woo, I'm sure, but for some people, but I love it.
Now, we have a video that actually says, am I doing it right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we caution against is this idea of doing it right, because there is no right way to meditate. We'll help you, we'll coach you, we'll be there for you, but this idea that it should be better, it should be more quiet, I shouldn't have thoughts, that's just part of it. And each time you actually have a thought, you're actually paying attention and starting to witness, I had a thought. Yeah. So that's doing it right.
That's doing it, yeah.
That's what we're after. It's noticing and being present for it all. But what we say is that, if you look in the mirror every single day, chances are you're not going to see the imperceptible changes of your face as it ages. But if I were to show you a picture of yourself today versus 10, 15 years ago, I'm certain that you would notice a change. And that's kind of what happens with meditation. It's over time. You really start to notice over time that, that's so interesting. I didn't fly off the handle the way I did. And, isn't that interesting? I paused. Or, oh, wow, I'm sleeping so much better than I ever have. Or look at that. I noticed I was full and I put my fork down.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely now can say, I feel when I don't do it, my day feels different because I didn't start it with meditation, and my body's starting to call out for it, which is great. Yes.
The other thing sorry, I just want to add,
go ahead.
As part of our morning meditations, what we do is we have something called setting your intention, and it's really useful in terms of starting your day off and having sort of a guiding direction for what it is. And I'm not talking about I'm going to lose weight today, but I'm thinking more, from a higher perspective of today I'm really going to nurture myself and honor what my body needs. And it's a very different mindset when you're coming from a place of love and not of scarcity. And just helping to start your day with that intention really sets the tone for everything else that happens. And so you can, when you're loving yourself and you're trying to nourish yourself, you're going to have a very different perspective on what you're putting into your body.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of a conversation I just had with my older sister. And she said to me, how would our lives look different if we radically loved ourselves now?
Mm.
And it's has completely stuck with me. And you saying that is reminding me of that again. It's like, how would your day look different? How would you treat yourself? How would you react differently in different situations if you were putting yourself first and loving yourself completely?
Right.
Totally different.
Right.
So, but is there, I'm still going to ask, just out of curiosity, because I listen to like Deepak Chopra, and who meditates for like 4 hours or something every single day. And I think, where does he go? Because I can just imagine, like, I think it would just, wow. I don't know if I'd ever get there or not. And that's okay if I don't, but I just think, what is that like? Is when they talk about that place, and I totally agree that there's no right or wrong, because like I said, I'm not doing it right, maybe because my mind's going off in a million directions, but I'm getting something from the little amount that I am doing right now in my life. So it's great. Is there this kind of higher consciousness or area where you could get to where it is that like complete stillness, quietness?
So, there's a couple things that can happen when you meditate. One is you can fall asleep, right? Because you get so relaxed that you fall asleep. The other one is that you can have thoughts. The other one is that you can slip into that gap. And I think what you're talking about is that place that's, basically complete awareness, that complete sense of being beyond space and time, that sense of being completely present. And where there is that stillness and that sense of really fully being. And you don't have to be a long time meditator to experience that. I was teaching a class I guess it was like maybe a month or so ago. And it was a bunch of young kids, and one of them, I think they were in 6th grade, something like that. And one of them just completely had that experience and came out of it and was like, oh, wow. And it was really interesting to me because she had no language for it. She didn't have the idea of, I just experienced higher consciousness. And, there's that feeling just not normal. It was just normal. Mm-hmm. And she just experienced real peace. And all of us can have that all the time. And it doesn't require going to or doing anything. It's our natural state of being. Mm-hmm. So I always hate that idea of, if I do this for a long time, will I go somewhere? Because we're there. You're already there. It's there.
Yeah. Yeah. I can appreciate that very much. So I do feel it once I did hit that place, and it was in a group meditation. And I think there is something to be said about the power of a group meditation. And I did drop in, and it was pretty amazing, I have to say.
I have to say that we try to avoid that idea of getting somewhere, because there's this performance anxiety, and that's the worst thing that you can do. So every experience is what it's meant to be and what you need in that moment. And if you have this really cool experience, great. And if you don't, also great. Sometimes just watching your thoughts and knowing where you are at this particular moment in time is really useful. Wow.
Yes.
I'm really anxious about that. Isn't that interesting? And you're not judging it. You're not like getting mad at yourself. You're just noticing, oh, wow.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. I do like that. And I don't want anyone to put pressure on themselves to get to a destination, because I agree with that we shouldn't be. But just for my own self, I do like to think, geez, I'm going to keep, I do want to keep this going, because I want to keep reaping benefits out of it. And I feel like the more I do it, the more I'll reap the benefits.
So just another thought about what you said. Deepak was one of my teachers. I studied with him.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
And he will tell you the only difference between me and you is that maybe I'm thinking about being on CNN later.
What does he say?
The only difference between me and you is that maybe I'm thinking about being on CNN later.
Oh.
He's having thoughts too. We all have thoughts. We're human beings. We all have thoughts. Yeah. Sometimes they're busier than others, but they're thoughts. They come and go.
Yeah, definitely. So you state, I was reading on your webpage this morning, and I loved this when you said, are you ready to start loving your life again? So how can meditation help a person to love life again when they're feeling down and out? Because I know that you were there once, and I know that when people are having those hard times, doing these kind of things, it tends to be a struggle. Taking care of yourself, adding something else to your list. So just as an inspiration, how can it help someone to love their life again?
So if you knew you only had 3 days left to live, how would your life feel? What would you do? You know, we have this sense, I think, that we have endless time. And
right.
We have this ever stretching, world in front of us. And what we tend to not do is pay attention to what's happening right now. So many absolutely beautiful things happen right here, right now. And if you're looking at something that's going to happen in the future or something that happened in the past, then you're missing it. You're not there. And I think that when we truly begin to be focused and present on what is, the world is just magical. When I was a new mom, I have to say that my practice was not the same practice that I have. And so I often was on my phone or distracted or, not necessarily in awe of this miracle of a child who was growing before my eyes. And I actually found it boring. And now when I think about it, I'm like, how in the world could I have found that boring? Because the more present and still I am, the more I appreciate everything. I appreciate the weather right now. And believe me, there was an ice storm, but it's pretty incredible. It's actually incredible because, that's what happens. That's what we are experiencing right now. And to miss it and to be hoping that it's going to be something else means that you're not fully living with where you are. And I think that lesson for me has really made me completely appreciate. I was always future focused. Yeah. So one day when I have children, then I'll be happy. One day when I, fill in the blank. But when you actually are happy every moment, or, happiness is a state, so I wouldn't say happy, but when you actually are present with every moment.
Present, yeah.
Then it's a very full, rich life, and that's the difference.
Yeah. I think that we get so caught up in the doing and what's happening to us and caught up in the circumstances of our life that when you turn in, a lot of that stuff just simply melts away or it just becomes insignificant because you realize it's not what this is about. Life is not about all these things happening to us. It's about being who we are right in the moment, basically. That's what I think.
Yeah, and experiencing it, and having a sense of awe, having a sense of appreciation for the magic. When you start to really see things, like pick up a cell phone and think about what a cell phone is. Now it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
Device that we use every single day, and chances are you pick it up and you're not even aware of what it is. But if you really stop and actually are mindful about it, it's a freaking miracle. It allows us to communicate all over the world. It gives us, it's miraculous. And so that's presence. That's actually noticing what is.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how your app works, because we were talking prior to our chat today that you actually are adding to the app on a weekly basis.
Yeah, we have constantly, what we basically have is this wonderful program that gives you the basic tools to teach you how everything you needed to know about meditation, and then helps you develop in areas that you might be challenged in. So for example, if mindful eating is something that you're working on, we have a section for that. If you might be dealing with the loss of a loved one, or a job, a change of a job. We actually have a meditation. My boss is a jerk.
Oh, really?
But the idea is about, self-compassion, loving yourself and appreciating the difficulty of that, and also having compassion for others and possibly understanding what it is that's making their life challenged. So we really have something for everybody at all the different types of issues and stuff that you could be dealing with. Yeah.
And it's guided meditation?
All of it's guided. We do have an extensive music section, and we also have, some self-guided meditations. But the majority of the app is guided meditations. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So, and that is Breethe, right?
Yeah, with 2 E's.
With 2 E's, yes. And I will link to it, the site, in the show notes underneath, so that if people want to go check it out, they can. There's a free trial, right? You can do a couple of them for free.
Yeah.
To get started, and you can start hearing her lovely voice inside your head, just like I have been. So thank you so much for this conversation. I think it's going to be really helpful for our members in their meditation challenge this month that are going to be listening to this, and anyone else that happens to come across it on the video cast and you're interested in meditation. I hope this gave you some great insight, and I highly suggest checking out her book and her app. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. It was great to talk to you today.
Yes, you too.